Yo, let's go and let's have a little talk about my favorite topic of how to live a good life, but related, everything that's wrong with society. Some new perspectives, some new ideas. Once again, Nalani's not with us, leaving her because she sprained her ankle. Hoping she has a quick recovery. I'm on my way into town. It's Monday to pick up a solo traveler and take her to a waterfall hike and a ridgeline hike. We'll just kind of see what's happening. But a beautiful day. I got to drive into town. Take a look over here. Started my day off with a walk down Makaha Beach, swim in the ocean, get outside, sunshine, and make a little content for you guys. Still have the seasonal allergy cough. It could last for months. I'm just powering through. And by the way, yeah, nice to have you on the ride. These videos are doing well, and yeah, it's something cool, I guess, about going somewhere. So hop in the car with me. If you're driving somewhere, let's drive together. Let's get it. So, yeah, I mean, I'm a reflection on society here. I had this idea of, man, I'm not meeting enough people through my work. I want to meet more people through my work. So I had the idea of doing tours as one way. I mean, YouTube is really helpful, and the coaching where I talk to you guys, and I'm trying to do private one-on-one retreats as well. This isn't me selling you on my products. This is me like showing you I'm thinking about how do I use my business to meet more people in person. And it's because man, we have this experience of, for most of us, school's a pretty awesome experience, even if we're not one of the top people, just because it's a familiar environment. Over time you make friends. Over time women get to know you and they'll like you, even if you're not at the absolute top. A lot of people date, get together, whatever. You've got teams, you're a member of teams, potentially, whether that's sports teams or some kind of extracurricular. I mean, for some of you guys, school was not a good experience, but for a lot of us, this unfamiliar environment at least beats, or a familiar environment at least beats an unfamiliar environment, right? Even if it wasn't the best, there's something you miss about it. Same thing with university, where the university is bigger, but with the groups you're in, the social groups that form, your one friend knows the other 5 friends. And these people might not be friends, but they know each other, and there's groups, and you go out, there's a party, and this person knows that person, intramural teams and all this. At least I had a pretty good experience. Now, I also personally had this experience on the farm, and I miss it. I learned a lot about how to live during that time. Man, I learned a lot about how to live a good life during that time. Where I created a familiar environment where it wasn't a huge thing, but there's 20, 30 of us, and it's rotating. I met a couple hundred people came through while I was there, live with, and yeah, I mean, it was a world where there's a lot of gossip, and whatever happens, everybody's going to know about. So there's a reputation, right? If someone sleeps with everyone, everyone's going to know. If somebody steals from someone or just wrongs someone, everybody's going to know. And I personally like that. I mean, I literally felt pressure to stay in relationship because I didn't want all the elders in the organization to see me just keep like partnering off with a new girl. I was like trying to. So that is how society has changed, and I mean, I think it's good to stay with people. It's good to have societal pressure to stay together, right? So this is one of the problems with modern society, is a move from familiar environments to unfamiliar environments. Familiar environments where you're in a small town or everybody kind of knows each other, And if you do something bad, everybody's going to talk about it. You can run away to a new town, but it's going to be hard to start over because the men don't know you, the women don't know you. So people know they're being talked about, they know they're being watched, and as a result, your reputation is a lot more important. But now we live in a world where outside of college, outside of university, outside of this community living that nobody gets to experience, which is why for me, I learned so much about what makes a good life there. It was amazing. People are in unfamiliar environments where reputation doesn't matter. There's no pressure to stay with someone. There's no pressure not to be promiscuous. There's no pressure to not just be a degenerate or watch porn or steal or do various things, because nobody is going to talk about it. And in this environment where as well, when familiar environments, when women get a chance to get to know a man who's not the absolute most attractive, but she gets to know, like, okay, well, actually he's kind of popular and cool and smart, and he's, he has some good things going for him. He's a decent guy. He's not as bad as I thought. He's not so bad, okay. And people will partner up. But in an unfamiliar environment, most guys just don't have a chance, because it's more about, and this is where the black pill look maxim comes in, where it's just like, well, looks are the only thing that matters in an unfamiliar environment, where women are on Tinder and on Instagram and are all going for the same guys. So anyways, I'm on my way to do a tour, and my life's not perfect. The tour doesn't make up for the familiar environment of the farm. I'm meeting new people, which is awesome, but I'm meeting people in an unfamiliar environment where they're tourists. Most of them I'm never going to see again, right? Now I do have the pressure of reviews. I get public reviews based on how our interactions go. So I guess, yeah, I mean, there's certain things, the reviews create more of a familiar environment. But one of the goals and one of the things about a good life, and I guess where it's going and focusing on, in this video we're not talking about health or making a certain amount of money, but let's really talk about building a better social life. Some of you guys might have seen it. I put up a new form, and the form, it's a checklist on living a good life, and there's about 40 items in there, and every yes is 1 point, every no is 0 points. The first person who took it scored like a 6 out of 40. And it said, do you have at least 3 friends or family you could call on the phone and talk to for an hour plus? No. Do you spend at least 3 hours a day with people whose company you enjoy? No. Do you meet interesting people through your work? No. Are you a member of a group, a weekly group where you meet and get to spend time with interesting men? No. Are you a member of a group or a weekly or monthly event where you can meet attractive women? No. Do you have optionality or choice between attractive women who you can spend time with? No. If you could throw a dinner party and you had to have 6 people come to your dinner party, would you be able to do it? No. Do you have any travel or exciting plans to look forward to that's being planned with friends? No. So this person was an offer on social life, and I'm interested to see more data come in. One of the reasons that I do these forms, which, by the way, these forms, I've been collecting data on forms for 8 years now. And one of the reasons I do it, some of y'all are very cynical and think it's just about making money and clients. It's not. That's one of the things. And one of the things that I'm for this business is because it's a social business, right? I want to get to know people in a familiar environment, talk to people on the phone for hours and really get to know people. But point is, one of the reasons I do this is a curiosity about human nature and behavior. And through my forums, I'm able to learn a lot of things about people. And I'm interested over the next however long, as more form responses come in, I want to know Is that common? Is that standard? Are we gonna see everybody score a 0? Probably, I think. People are, this person, by the way, said, hey, they're not eating processed food, they have 12 months of money saved, so they had a couple good things going for them, but people are really struggling socially, and yeah, it's bad, and it has to do with the unfamiliar environment of the city. You could just move, people just move, restart, don't know anyone, go to work. People used to stay. People also used to stay where they worked, and then eventually they'd be offered a pension, right? There was an incentive to staying in one place. There were so many incentives to staying in one place. There were incentives to staying in marriage, and when you're staying in marriage, that gives you was religious incentive and societal incentive. And when you stay in marriage, you also keep your spouse's friends, right? You have a more continuous social group. But I'm sure you've experienced, you're in a relationship and you're kind of friends with each other's friends, and you break up and you don't see those friends anymore, right? So the social circles break down when people don't stay together. And also, like I was saying, we used to have incentive to stay at one job where you're rewarded for your loyalty with pension over time. Now, I don't know, a single employer who offers pension probably still exists, but it's basically not a thing. So you don't stay in the same work social group, which used to be an extension of school, college type situation. So yeah, I mean, you have the third place that people go to. The third place is like what Starbucks is meant to be, or the cafe is meant to be. It's not work, it's not home, it's a third place where you can go and you can be around people. Yeah, but they're all fucking strangers, right? You go to the park, it's all strangers, right? It used to be 10% of people live in cities, and this is even 100 years ago, 10% of people live in cities, 90% of people live in the countryside. It's flipped. I believe it's greater than 90% of people live in cities, 10% of people live in the countryside. The thing about the countryside is you might not have a lot of neighbors, the neighbors might be far away, but you probably know them. You kind of have limited options. But now we have this illusion of unlimited options. As I go into Honolulu, which has 300,000 people, there's 1 million people on this island, and people are constantly coming and going, right? I mean, this is a negative that I learned through the farm, but this is just Hawaii as well. I made so many close relationships, friends, physical or emotional connection with women. So many of them have left the island because they're just travelers, they're traveling, and that's not just a Hawaii problem, though. That's a modern life problem. It's the unfamiliar environment. So, I mean, this is one use of Instagram. What I try to do is, for Instagram, it doesn't really replace anything at all, but if you look at my Instagram, it's all people. I post lots of people. It took me a while to figure this out. Why? Just trying to create a familiar environment where people can say, okay, he is trusted, he has friends. You could call it pre-selection, but it's more like trying to create the vibes, the old-time vibes of just people being together and friends, right? So I think back to the farm, and I think about we would literally eat all our meals together, lunch, dinner, and not all of our meals, but a lot of our meals. Monday night's like a potluck. Everybody comes in and cooks something and go around the table, say what you're grateful for. The type of thing that you get on Thanksgiving, we're getting it every week, every day, right? So that was awesome. Now, what's lost? Here's the question. Well, we've talked about what's lost. Do we need to go into that more? How do we regain it? So that's a really good question, and I don't have the answer, right? I mean, I'm on my way to pick someone up. have a good time, hang out all day, and then they're fucking gone and I never see them again, right? So, that said, I mean, to me this is exciting and I like it and it's better than the alternative. I mean, who else am I get to do what I want to do. I want to go hiking, I want to go to a waterfall, I'm going to hike a ridge on a Monday. Who else am I going to get to take to do that? There's no, I mean, I could hire people into my business. There's other things I can do, but I mean, certain things. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I play basketball with a group of guys. That's very important. Very important. Wednesdays, I haven't been doing it this year, I was doing it all last year. Play Magic cards with a group of guys. Very important. Friday, I go to the farm. Connect with the farmers who are still there. Very important. Saturday, I go to the farmers market. And then I try to go to different events and so on. Talking about me. I walk down the beach, walk down the neighborhood, talk with the neighbors. Who lives here? But there's so many. I mean, it's crazy where I live. I'm not interested in moving because where else? You've seen my place. I've got a big yard, outdoor kitchen, outdoor shower. It's right on the beach, an awesome surf beach. Well, outside of the surf season, it's pretty empty. There's just old people. Sometimes I see a 20, 30 something on the beach in the morning when I'm walking. Last year I met a couple people. I mean, I do actually approach. I say never approach, but I actually do approach sometimes. Met some young women. They're all Airbnb. They're in the other neighborhood. They're not. Yeah, it's like poor people can't afford to live on the beach and walk down the beach on a Monday in America, right? Hawaii is America. People are really struggling. I'm blessed. I'm lucky. It's not even that I make a lot of money. It's that I make my money on a line and that I make it a priority to be outside. But the cost is, yeah, it's just a flux of people coming and going. I see it more because of where I live, but it's really happening everywhere. I mean, it's way too easy to immigrate or just move or bail. We live in a bail culture, right? Bail on a relationship that's not working, bail on a job that's not working. And on one hand, we have more freedom. In theory, you have more freedom, but freedom and purpose kind of don't go together, right? Like, I have no purpose to stay in this marriage, so I'm out. I have no purpose to stay in this job. There's no pension, whatever, I'm out. I'm free, but am I really happier? And the data shows it doesn't really seem like people are happier. Doesn't really seem like people are happier. So, what's somebody to do? Yeah, as much as possible, create familiar environments. And I think having the scoreboard, I think these are things that matter. Like, do you have 3 friends you can call on the phone? Do you spend 3+ hours a day with people who you like? Are you a member of weekly or monthly groups? Yeah, the kids, that's kind of dope. We're driving by, you can't really see, but there's a couple adults and kids working in the garden right over there. Side note that's not really related to anything, but Hawaii is an awesome school garden programs across the state for, I think, something like 80-90+% of schools have school gardens, have a garden program, and I didn't have that in any of my schools in Washington, Seattle. That wasn't a thing. So I think that's awesome about Hawaii. There's a lot of things I really like about Hawaii. I'm valued. People who look like me, who have my values, are valued. It doesn't matter how much money I make. I'm healthy. That's what's valued. Being fit. Anyways, side notes. Creating familiar environments. How do you do that? Yeah, following the scoreboard. Like, if you could throw a dinner party and bring 6 people together, I mean, it's sad that that's hard to do. It's hard to do. For most people, that used to be so normal and easy. I mean, even it used to be kind of, if it's high school, college, like even middle school, elementary school, how hard was it to throw a birthday party? Even if you weren't super popular, you probably had birthday parties and had like 6, 5, 10 people show up to it, right? Now it's hard to throw a party and have 5, 10 people, and you know what was nice about that is those 5, 10 people knew each other too. Familiar environment, right? And all kinds of good things happen when reputation matters. So I cannot say we're going to rebuild the social structure. I don't have any kind of power over anyone but me, right? And you don't have any power over anyone but you. We can cry about what's lost. We can't really change society. All we can really do is control ourselves. And I guess my suggestion is to become a regular, right? I agree with novelty. I like novelty. But if you want to improve your social life, become a regular at different spots. For me, that looks like surfing at the same spots at the same time of year, walking the same path, going to the same groups, events, and places. Becoming a regular is so valuable, so important in an irregular society. And that gives you a chance to meet people. And yeah, look for, I think it's super underrated for work opportunities that have a big team and a good social environment. One of my friends, she just got a job. I don't think she's gonna last. Because she's going to be a tour operator, and she says she hates dealing with tourists. 4 days a week, 10 hours a day. You got to get there at 5:30 a.m. and clean the horse stalls and tend to the horses, and then you're doing like horse tours all day. This is at Kualoa Ranch. It's on the east side of Hawaii, or of Oahu. Kualoa Ranch was the it's where they filmed Jurassic Park. Really awesome big place. They've got garden programs. They've got they've got a small farm, but they have a lot of cattle. They do a lot of cattle, and I guess there's different dinosaur themed stuff from Jurassic Park. But she's probably not going to last because she's like, I hate dealing with tourists, and she's got to commute to get there at 5:30 a.m. But this is a place where if things went wrong and I really needed to change, I would go work there and I would take that job. One, because working on horses sounds really cool, but they have a really big crew and big team, and it just looks like fun. So I mean, every day is like yeah, you're dealing with tourists, but you're also interacting with your team, and you're part of a big crew, and I think that's really valuable, super valuable. And that's really what the farm was for me. It was not just a living situation and a work situation, but it was an extension of school, right? It was creating a familiar environment. So if I could in the future go into a situation, cannot go back, but once again go into a situation where it creates a large familiar environment where reputation matters, and everybody knows everything about everybody. I would love to do that. I see myself doing that in the future. I don't know how exactly. The downsides to it, I mean, the main downsides are potentially giving up freedom of, right, if everybody eats together, are you eating the same diet? I don't eat like most people, right? And by the way, I don't think having a family is it's good, but I don't think it's a substitute. I mean, have a giant family is maybe helpful, can help create a familiar environment. I'm not against that. Most of y'all are broke though and cannot have kids, and that's a lot of the reason why people aren't having kids. Separate discussion we can get into. But yeah, I think it's super underrated to have a job that offers a great social life. I mean, that's almost one of the first things that I want to look for from work. I want my work to, 1, be interesting, and 2, create a familiar social environment, and 3, pay well. That's for me personally, because financially, the difference between surviving and thriving, it matters, but the difference between living in an unfamiliar world and a familiar world is huge. So yeah, and I mean, you see the unfamiliar world of just cold approach and the modern pickup artist who's on a college campus or is in a busy city and is just approach. I mean, I see it on the campus. They just go to a different college campus, or they come back the next year and with new faces. Or you go to I see them in some kind of tourist destination, and nobody's gonna stay. Everybody's leaving. And I hate it. It doesn't work great, right? Women don't like you when they don't know you. I mean, even if you're super attractive, it's a lot harder. It's way easier when they have a chance to learn about you through people talking about you. Hear positive gossip, right? So, I don't have all the answers, but I'll just tell you to be on the lookout, right? What's the name of that bias? Exposure bias or something, where it says, hey, look for a yellow car. I bet you're gonna see, all of a sudden you see yellow cars everywhere. I'm telling you, look for familiar environments and try to become a regular. And what it's going to do for your social life and your happiness is going to be ridiculous. And honestly, I think that's one of the reasons why people are so stuck on Instagram. Because Instagram is a mix of a familiar environment with an unfamiliar environment. You go to your explore page, it's an unfamiliar environment. But even then, you're seeing people you've seen before. But you go to your feed of your friends, and you go to your Instagram stories, and you look at who watched your story. It creates this kind of familiar environment vibe where, oh, I know, my same friend watches my story every day, right? Where a lot of y'all, I know this, I have all these great friends that I've collected over the years that I never see in person anymore, because we don't, it's not that we don't had some kind of falling out, but they moved, right? I moved, they moved, and I see them through social media, right? So social media, right? I know there's people who have no friends in person, but they have a lot of friends on social media, and it's not your fault. It's just the way society is. And one more idea here is people ask about moving. Right? I had that video of this guy's like, should I leave my family and friends behind because I get seasonal affective disorder? I'm sad up in the Northeast. I want to move to Florida or the Caribbean or California or Hawaii. And I'm like, well, if you're going to go as soon as possible, because you're making a huge sacrifice by giving up your social life. That's going to take a long time to rebuild. So the sooner you get started, the better. Either go now or never go. You don't want to move a new place. I mean, you can. There's time. It's really hard. It's really hard to rebuild when you have a good social life. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. But anyways, hope you found that interesting and enlightening, and it gives you some idea of how to live your life and what you can do. So appreciate you, and keep on doing your thing. And go fill out my form down below. You'll learn about yourself. It'll give you some ideas for how to improve your life, and it will give me more data on the problems facing men and help me make more good content. Okay, appreciate you. Much love. Talk to you all soon. Peace.